It's time for another professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I got for you today is a very high level Zerg versus Terran. Spawning in the northwest corner of Ascension to Ire LE. Playing with the red Zerg pieces, we have the Zerg player known by the nickname of Leenock. And his opponent spawning in the cross position and playing in blue, he will be playing with Terran today. We have none other than Innovation. Now, Innovation, he is widely considered to be the most dominant StarCraft 2 player of all time. This guy has been around since the very beginning of the game, and he has been dominating for an extended period of time as well. We've had some players like, for example, Teja, we had Life, we had MVP, we had people like, for example, Nesty as well, who all won several tournaments over the course of a couple of years, but Innovation is one of them, and he is still around. He is an absolute beast, and generally speaking, he is going to be one of the best, if not the very best, macro player in the world. Usually, he will not be missing a beat when it comes to producing, he will not be messing up his build orders, generally he will not be taking any counter attack damage whatsoever, and he is almost as mechanical and as like computer-like as a StarCraft 2 player can get. Now of course that is also right away his downfall. Usually he is pretty predictable in the sense that players know exactly what his style is, and they will try and dismantle him to the best of their abilities. Now of course Leenock, definitely no slouch himself either. This man right here, he's won several tournaments in the past. When it comes to prize money alone, he has earned roughly $250,000 in tournament winnings, which is absolutely incredible. A very, very tough thing to do. And he's also been around for quite some time, but in particular over the last year or two, I have not been seeing his name pop up nearly as often. Now that is not to say that he's of course not a great player anymore. He's of course still practicing his absolute ass off, which is what most of these top level guys will indeed be doing. But of course you cannot be at the top of your game all the freaking time, really, unless you're Innovation. Innovation at this point in time, the current rank 2 in the world, just a little bit lower than Bjorn himself. Bjorn, of course, the current world champion of StarCraft 2, still a little bit higher up on the ladder. Bjorn, compared to, for example, Innovation's playstyle, will be focusing a little bit more on risks. Usually, he's also the better micro player, but Innovation, he is the machine, and I absolutely love watching this guy play. We'll see if it holds true for this particular match as well. Innovation did end up scouting out a little bit right there with the Reaper, playing it super safe right here. You may have already noticed, he is not indeed sending this Reaper across. Leenock is known for his spawning pool first builds. He will try his very best to get a handful of Zerglings out to run across the map with and immediately snipe the SEV that is building the command center right here on the low ground. Now Innovation not gonna fall for that. He knows precisely what he could be going up against, so instead he's gonna use that Reaper for early game safety. First Overlord already making its way right over here. We'll be able to spot exactly that there is indeed a command center down here on the low ground. There we go. That cute little move. You see that? That is such a high level move already. Just a little bit of a nuke right there to figure out exactly where the command center is placed and to spot that indeed the Reaper was being used for safety here after all. Innovation going for that factory opener, one of those builds that has become a lot more popular as of late, and he's going to be able to follow this up with a starport and a tech lab as well. We'll see whether or not he's going to plan on going Raven or whether or not he's going to go for the Banshees instead. Meanwhile, on the other end of the map, Leenock has already taken his, he's already taken rather his third base very, very early on into this match actually, prioritizing that over additional queens, and instead he's skipping out on the second inject right here in the natural, and he's put down a creep tumor to try and connect the two bases that he's got right now. Couple of Zerglings setting up right here for the run by. Of course, Leenock is keeping tab right here of these two Hellions. Innovation for the time being has decided that he does not quite want to send them across just yet. And at this point, there's actually a bit of an interesting setup. This is like a new school kind of thing. Innovation is going for both a Raven as well as the Cloaking Field upgrade. So that is one of those things that has become a little bit more popular over the last couple of weeks in particular. Usually for quite a couple of weeks, people would either focus on, you know, the Banshee play or the Raven play. But right now, some players have indeed started doing a little bit of both. 3 additional queens in production right now as well. Looks like Leenock is really trying to power out additional queens now, so he can really get more and more drones going. Quite an impressive little feat there. Zergling run by trying to go down as well, but of course, Innovation. He is Innovation. He's not going to send out the Hellions for absolutely nothing. Left a couple at home, so he will be able to defend against a handful of Zerglings with absolute ease. Third command center going down right now as well, and we also do see that lair going down. Leenock really powering out that economy. You can already see as far as the worker count goes, it's right now 44 right here for Leenock, giving him a slight upper hand, and he is still powering on the workers. Brilliant early game so far by Leenock, not taking any damage whatsoever just yet. Of course, he does need to be a little bit careful, but positioning Zerglings in each and every one of the corners right here, and really getting a lot of map vision here with these overlords, as well as the creep spread already. Hellions, however, are moving across the map, and and these queens will need to be in position if Leenock ends up roasting or losing an entire mineral line right here to a bunch of Hellions. That could spell disaster right now. He's adding on the evolution chamber, but at this point, both the Banshee as well as a whole lot of Hellions are indeed coming in to the natural as well as the third base location. Zerglings are ready to defend right here. They're not quite in position to defend against these Hellions just yet, but it looks like Leenock has indeed deflected his aggression with absolute ease. Not really taking a whole lot of damage just yet. Now, he did just uproot the Spore Crawler to get a bit of a better positioning. A single worker did end up falling right there to that Banshee, but so far, this is looking extremely solid right here for the Zerg player in red. Not absolutely missing a beat, and he's once more adding on an additional 10 workers. 3 more queens also added on right now. There is a Raven moving into the main base, and this is a little bit worrisome actually. The auto turret did indeed get a little bit more potential damage output with the most recent patch of StarCraft 2, but Zerglings are ready to defend against that as well. And so far actually, I am genuinely impressed here with the setup that the Zerg player has gone for. Not missing any beats whatsoever just yet. He can lose easily up to 10 workers right now and still be in a brilliant position, because look at that. He is just simply powering on more and more, and after scouting that the third command center went down and scouting that it's now also been lifted up towards that third location, he's going to be capable of getting himself the fourth base. 2 Banshees, however, moving into that main base, and actually, the Spore Crawler is a little out of position right now. While one of them is no longer cloaked, he can potentially lose quite a couple of these drones. First little bit of real damage is being dealt right now by Innovation. Quite a few of the workers do end up falling here, 8 already, but one of the Banshees also does have to pay for that with its life, and even though 9 workers went down, I think that Leenock could pay for that for the time being. 2 additional hatcheries are now being produced. One right here at the 4th base location. The other one used as a macro hatchery, as well as a bit of a wall right here to really make sure that Leenock gets enough, really like enough larva income. Of course, larva generally not really considered to be a resource, but really important to keep track of as well if you are a Zerg player. So he's going to be capable to get plenty of that off of these 4 bases. And Leenock, while he did lose a couple of the workers here, and of course he did not mean to do that, he is looking very, very solid in this match right here as well. Now, this is starting to be a little bit more scary, however. The Zerglings have just made their way across the map, and of course, Leenock, he knows very well that Innovation is likely not going to take any damage from this. He will end up taking quite a bit of damage here on that 4th base. There are 2 Widow Mines in this army composition as well. Nice splits here for the time being by Leenock, not taking any damage from these Widow Mines here, but that did buy the Terran player here enough time to snipe that hatchery, and he will be capable of cleaning up that 4th base right there with absolutely minimal losses. Now, Leenock does need to be careful, actually. The Widow Mines are still burrowed, so that does mean that he will need to kill them before they get another shot off, and it looks like he will be able to do so. Innovation continuing the harass right now with the Banshee. The Banshee, of course, mostly just being a nuisance right now. He knows very well that it's not going to be part of his late-game army, so he's trying to do whatever damage he can, and it will indeed force Leenock to morph in another Overseer right here, and he will have to move a Queen over here in just a second if he plans on not losing that base. And this is though what I'm talking about. I mean, look at his setup right now from Innovation. There's been countless attempts already for Leenock to try and run by into either the 3rd base, into the natural. He had the Zerglings out early as well to try and pressure his opponent, but so far, absolutely no workers I don't think have been killed. Yeah, there we go. 0 workers have been killed here by the Zerg player in red, and Leenock is most definitely one of those macro machines as well. He is capable of outproducing his opponent here too, but look at that. Generally speaking, at this point in the game, the Zerg player should be ahead when it comes to the total supply counts, but Innovation keeping up here with relative ease. Moving across the map right now as well with several armies. There is now also a Raven trying to be a nuisance here at the, I guess this would be the 3rd base location. The 4th one has indeed been retaken here over at the low ground instead of the one right here down south. I actually liked it a little better. A bit easier to defend as well. While a couple of the Zerglings are trying to run by here towards the 4th base location of Terran, it looks like Innovation has managed to clean that up as well. 2-2 being produced here for both players, so really no advantage there for either of them. There's no hive done, however, or going up just yet. I don't think there's an infestation pit up either, so I think that Leenock may very well be thinking here about pushing as soon as +2/+2, as well as the +1 attack flyer here finishes up. However, this may actually become a bit of an issue because Innovation is already maxed out. He's already at 197 supplies to 180 here from the Zerg player instead. There's a single Thor here, as well as a whole lot of Widow Mines trying to do whatever damage they can. A nice bit bit of connecting right there with that single Widowmine, picking up 9 kills already. Marines scouting out whether or not there are any additional bases ready to go, and a single lonely Widowmine will be able to pick up a little bit of damage right there on those Mutalisks. And look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Innovation is simply defending against everything, keeping track of exactly what his opponent is doing, having a couple of these seemingly stray Widowmines out on the map. They are very cleverly positioned here to make sure that he does not take any unnecessary amounts of damage, and he's really just trying to, you know, keep tabs of where his opponent could potentially be moving from. And already a 4-base Terran at this point in the game is a very scary amount of economy here, because Innovation is going to be capable of piling on the pressure. Hive will be produced here eventually. We also do see that +2 attack, but I think this is going to be the first major engagement during this game. Both players are indeed maxed out right now. More Banelings are being morphed in here as well. Looks like for now though, Innovation is mostly just spending his time cleaning up as much of the creep as he can, and he's done a good job at that thus far. Now immediately 4 Queens get in action. They will try their very best to put down that creep once again, and Leenock is not gonna go down without a fight here. As a matter of fact, he's looking extremely good. He's got an extremely powerful army, and with some solid detonations here on the Banelings, he can easily take out this force. Barona also being researched. I like that one a lot. He's going to be capable of burrowing a couple of Banelings if he so decides to choose. And so far, actually, he's dealing with all of this very, very nicely. Only a handful of workers have gone down here, but at this point in the game, it really doesn't matter all too much. These Zerglings, however, are moving across, and I think a lot of them will end up falling here. They're going to run into this wall right here. However, the Hellions that were made earlier on into this game are there to go ahead and defend. And smartly enough here, Innovation has decided that he does not want to take those units with him to the other end of the map just yet. Ultralisk Cavern going down right now as well. Adrenal glands also being researched. So Leenock really going for that late game composition, trying his very best to clean up all of these stray Widowmines that are burrowed every which way here on the map. But at that point, there is also a bit of vulnerability right here at the 4th base location of the Zerg player. Innovation, of course, getting those Thors to try and mess up with the Mutalisk AI right now. He will force his opponent to use magic boxing, and there's currently no room for a setup to go for a run by here by the Zerg player in red just yet. He will have to try and move up this ramp if he wants to engage this army accordingly. And so far, actually, these Banelings are getting a ton of value in. These Queens, of course, have got a lot of energy. That is all on purpose, because as soon as the Ultras come out, which can indeed be produced here in just a second, they're going to be capable of keeping this army alive for a very long amount of time. And it looks like for the time being, actually, the Zerg player will be left alone, and he's gonna try and once again go for that counterattack. Now the reinforcement of Innovation already there to greet the Zerg player in kind, and once again, no damage is being dealt here whatsoever. And you can really see, right? This is exactly like I meant to say here earlier on into this game. Innovation, he's a mechanical beast. He does not miss a beat. He's not taking any damage from run-bys here whatsoever. And while Leenock is maxed out here, he's getting himself the 3-3 upgrades. He's getting himself the Ultra Cavern, the Chitinous Plating, the Adrenal Glands, and all of the end game Zerg upgrades. So far, he's not been able to do any damage whatsoever, and Terran has already secured himself a 5th base as well as another command center. And Terran is going to be capable of flooding the map with so many units that even when this Terran army dies, he's going to be capable of reproducing it with absolute ease. Right now, also, the Fusion Core going down. I wonder if that's for the Liberator upgrade or if he's actually planning to go Battle Cruises. We'll see that here in just a second, but hold that thought, because it looks like Terran is looking to engage here on creep. This is one of the most scary things for a Terran player to do. Beautiful microing back thus far, but the Zerg is overrunning all of this force. So many of the Terran units will end up falling. Zergling's trying to go for the run by right now as well. Mutalisk focus firing down as many of these medevacs as they can, and all of a sudden, while the army supply counts are still in favor here of Innovation, a lot of the Terran force did end up falling. And of course, Zerg is going to be the one race that can easily replenish any of these losses here. 5 Liberators, however, are being produced at a time right now, as well as the Liberator ranged upgrade being researched. Of course, that's going to be crucial, and Leenock knows it. He's immediately piling on here with the Overseers, or rather the Corruptors as well. Already getting that +3 flyer attack upgrade, really making it easy for himself to snipe down all of those Corruptors. And so far, I mean, this game is looking pretty even. There is another base down right now here for Leenock. He's not quite transferred workers to that one just yet, but we are getting to the point where Innovation does not really care about SCVs so much anymore, and he may very well be looking to sacrifice some of those shortly, because he can drop mules for absolute days. Of course, though, Zerg is not out of this running just yet. One good engagement, and this can still easily be over. At this point, though, it's going to be an extremely difficult fight to take here for the Zerg, because he knows that Terran is going to be maxed out. A lot of Liberators being added on right now as well. No real late-game composition transitions just yet, though, for Innovation. He has not gone for anything like, for example, additional siege tanks. He's not really piling on the Thors here either, really just focusing on that bio-based army, and that could become a bit of a problem, in particular once these Infestors come out. Infestors, of course, absolutely incredible at locking down the armies of the Terran bio, and ooh, this is still going to be a tricky one though, but with the Ultralisk out on the field, they can chomp away at army that cannot move for days. Mutas, though, trying to do whatever damage they can. These Thors dealing a bunch of damage here from a distance. Of course, they did recently get buffed up slightly as well in these kind of scenarios here in particular. And look at the amount of Liberators that are available. However, it looks like it does not matter anymore. Leenock is gonna go for the aggression. He's gonna try and clean up as much of this army here as he can. And while he's doing a great job at exactly that, I wonder if this was a cost-efficient trade here for the Zerg player in red. He's cleaned up a lot, and for the first time in this match, actually, he is indeed picking up a army supply lead as well as a supply lead here in general. Cleaning up a lot here of the Terran army, and while I thought for a second that engagement went absolutely terrible for him, he's cleaned up so many of these Liberators, and he's been able to do a huge amount of damage here that he's once again going to be able to replenish his army faster than Innovation will be capable of. We now even do see those two upgrades right here in the engineering bay. One will give the Liberator, or rather the the planetary fortresses a little bit more range, as well as the missile turrets, and secondly, we also do see some additional armor on the Terran buildings right there. One of those upgrades that you don't usually see it until we get to the absolute late game. So it does indicate that Innovation is assuming here that this game is not going to be over in the shortest amount of time just yet. Zerglings trying to engage to this army once again. A lot of them will end up falling here to the Widow Mines, and with a beautiful move here by Innovation, he's splitting up a small chunk of his army. He will be able to pick up another base here from the Zerg player in red. And really, like, so far, what damage has Leenock been able to do? I mean, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about, though. This is what it looks like when Innovation is on a roll. When you play into Innovation's strengths, when you're allowing him to play that macro game, he is gonna take it to the extreme, and he is not gonna take any damage here whatsoever. I mean, in total, 2 SCVs went down, and while it's only 24 here for the Terran player that he killed as well, which is not that much, it's still going to be very difficult, even if Zerg takes a slamming engagement here, right? And absolutely wipes out all of the Terran economy, or all of the Terran army, rather. He is still going to have a very hard time getting on top of all of these bases, just because there's sensor towers everywhere. There's Widow Mines burrowed in every which way. There are planetary fortresses ready to defend as well. And while Leenock is desperately trying to hold that thought though, because he's actually going to get a solid engagement done right here. It looks like this engagement is going to be a tricky one, but man, that was a beautiful fungal there, getting a huge amount of all of those Liberators. But Innovation, I mean, his macro is on point. He's still producing more and more, and while he is floating a couple of resources, in just a couple of seconds from now, that bank will be depleted absolutely easily. Adding on those ghosts right now as well, getting the Ghost Academy upgrade here as well to get the cloaking field for those ghosts, so he can start sniping against both the Ultralisk as well as the Corruptor. And you can see, like, Leenock is trying to find an angle here, but Innovation is not giving him a piece of that pie here, at the very least, just yet. Couple of Ultralisk found out on the map. One of them does go down without a fight. There is a planetary fortress at pretty much all of the more difficult to defend bases right now, and while some of these bases do indeed have got a second command center to it as well, it looks like Innovation is just simply using those for orbital commands instead. There are sensor towers everywhere, there are missile turrets everywhere, so what are you gonna do as a Zerg player at this point in the game? Additional workers do end up falling right here, by the way. I think that must have been at this location, but they will easily be reproduced here for the Zerg player if he decides to do so. At this point in the match, the worker losses are not that big of a deal. Once again, Zerglings trying to go for the run by here. They may very well be able to do a little bit of damage here to the base in the center, but so many reinforcing Terran units are already ready to engage, and while it forces the liftoff here for a little while, I really wonder if Leenock is going to be capable of dealing some damage. Now, of course, these are 3-3 Zerglings. They're going to be capable of knocking down these walls very, very rapidly, but the Terran reinforcements are already here, and they're going to be able to shut this down here at the very least for right now. Terran at the same time, though, is also pushing here in the central part of the map, trying to get a good engagement here, using the snipes here of these ghosts to try and get these high HP units down to a low amount of health right from the get-go. And actually, this army here from Innovation does not look very menacing here at all. Beautiful Fungal once again going down. The Ultralists do take a lot of damage here from those liberation zones, but eventually the Corruptors are capable of shooting down most of these units, and these fights are all extremely cost efficient here for the Zerg. Look at all of these low HP Ultras, though. I'd love to see some transfuses on those, because in one of those engagements, I am a little worried that with some good snipes and with some good bio control, all of those units will end up falling. Looks like, though, the snipes are indeed being activated. So many of them do end up falling almost without getting even close to the Terran army. And look at that. Beautiful engagement from Innovation, sniping down each and every one of those low HP Ultras. Again, I mean, I love the methodical control here. I mean, Innovation really being that impenetrable fortress right now, not allowing his opponent to really do any damage here whatsoever. And whenever he messes up slightly, right, like these engagements, these are not the ideal ones that a Zerg player wants to take. He is still capable of just simply counterattacking. And look at that, the Widow Mines are coming off cooldown. So many of these Corruptors, the lifeline right here for Leenock, do end up falling, and slowly Leenock is being torn apart. I don't really see exactly what it could do. Apparently a single stray swarm host was accidentally produced right here as well, trying his very best to do whatever damage he can. But Terran is currently trying to overwhelm the Zerg player right here. If he could indeed do one drop here at the, I guess this would be the central part right here of this map. If this base would also lose all of its mining capabilities, I think that that would be all she wrote. The Liberator also now moving into one of the last final mining bases here for the Zerg player in red, trying to do whatever damage he can. The base here in the central part of the map now also under a lot of pressure now that the Ghost Marines and Marauders, as well as a couple of Liberators, have arrived, and a scan goes down here. Innovation confirms that indeed he has found the last real mining base here for the Zerg. Liberator is moving in. It's already picked up 16 kills, and with this minefield here in the central part of the map, even though a beautiful Fungo goes down, Leenock does not have enough army to shoo away Innovation, and Innovation gets to show what he is made of. I hope you enjoyed watching this game. What a beautiful match. I mean, Innovation, an absolute beast. I love watching this guy play. I mean, Leenock, he's one of the highest ranking Zerg players in the world, and Innovation just absolutely tore him apart. He didn't go for the quick victory. He did not take any unnecessary risks, but he was in firm control of that game. Almost, I mean, I would say after like the 5-minute mark or so, it seemed like he was in firm control of this match. And while he did slip up a couple of times, losing some army here and there, every single time he was ready to defend against the counterattack damage, and he did not take any hits whatsoever. I hope you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload the next ones. And other than that, I want to thank you very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.